Welcome to the Cedar Falls Committee of the Whole meeting this June 18th, 2018. I'll call this meeting to order. We have 6 items for update this evening for council, a couple of interviews for folks willing to serve. We also have a Greater Cedar Valley Alliance update, a review of the 2018 bond sales bids, and bills and payroll. First up, I'd like to invite Michael Mangin up to the microphone, make sure it's right there. And Michael has already been interviewed by the pre-committee for the Board of Adjustment interview. I'll just ask you, Michael, to give a brief update of yourself, background, and as detailed as you want, and we'll be ready for questions.
Sounds great. Thank you. Good evening, all. I'm Michael Mangin, a lifetime Cedar Valley resident. My wife and 2 daughters continue to live in Cedar Falls. We've been here for the last 10 years. I am employed at John Deere wow, that's going back. Viridian Credit Union. I've been with Viridian Credit Union for 20 years, and I am currently the branch manager at our Amesboro location, helping serve everybody in the Cedar Valley and Cedar Rapids and Des Moines. My wife is an active photographer in the area, an artist, and my 2 daughters are currently employed in the Cedar Valley as well, and trying to get their foot in the door with the community. So,
great, thank you. Council, I'll open up for any questions you have for Michael.
Mike, I know we talked about in your interview kind of your views on kind of complying with the city code in reference to kind of the emotional side versus what the code actually says. Would you just share a little bit about your perspective on that?
Yeah, as we look at the code, our citizens are passionate about their projects and the things they want to do. And I think it's very important to listen, and yet at the same time look at the facts and how does it impact the 4 areas that we're in charge of. And looking at that, I think it's important to, again, listen and make the right determination for the city as well as their citizens, and help provide other opportunities for them that may not be what exactly they want, yet give them some alternatives that may help them with their project.
Thank you.
Mr. Whelan?
Thank you. You are aware, and I know you've studied how you go about decision-making on Board of Adjustments, but it's very difficult, it seems, to get items through the board because it has to be against the land and not the person wanting to have an adjustment. There has to be something with the land. Am I right on target with that?
I believe so, yes. That's correct.
Thank you.
Anything further from council? Once again, thanks for coming in this evening, and thanks for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, I'll have Seth Chadwick come up as well. Seth is willing to serve again, or continue to serve on the Library Board of Trustees. Again, just a brief background for everybody, Seth, and we'll do a Q&A.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I'm Seth Chadwick. I've been in Cedar Falls since about 2010. I came up here after college and have enjoyed every minute of being here. And started serving on the library board about a year ago. And since I was filling out the end of a term of a previous member, I'm up for renewal and would be pleased to continue to serve the city and the library, since I'm a frequent patron and have been continually impressed by how much programming and good the library does in the community.
Thank you, Seth. Open it up for council interviews or questions. Excuse me. Mr. Green?
Yes, with your service so far on the library board, from what you've seen in operations, the decision making, are there things that you would still like to push? Do you have any personal pet projects you would love to see to encourage the other board members to take on?
Sure. Actually, something that came up in the pre-interview was the discussion of the free little libraries that are around town. And right now, we don't have a map or any type of upkeep on those to know if someone was to come and say, hey, where do those exist? Where are they? I'd really like to know where that is. And I think that's something I was talking to Jay about a year ago as well, that getting a map of those free little libraries, having eventually the Friends of the Library update those with new books and new materials and upkeep on them. I think that's something I'm interested in pursuing as well for just the library in general. We've got a makerspace that's going in over the next year, so continuing to see that out efficiently and through startup, get that in the community, and also just all the programming that goes on with the library and how we can expand that further. So get more people engaged, more kids into your musical performances, get them engaged in music and reading at an early age.
Thank you.
Anything further from council? Thank you, Seth. Again, appreciate your willingness to serve, sir.
Thank you.
And finally, Glennis Worthington. Make sure that microphone's right there. That rain's kind of making it noisy. And brief
Right here?
introduction, and we'll open it up.
Okay, my name is Glennis Worthington. I am a 26-year resident of the Cedar Valley. Most notably, as a part of our empty nest strategy, my husband and I, as of last September, are full-time residents in Cedar Falls on Grove Street, just north of the old Western home. Our goal was met of being within walking distance of downtown Cedar Falls. We're very excited about that. I am currently a full-time doctoral student at the University of Northern Iowa in the area of leisure. My interest is in developing competitive sport for the 50-plus set. Looking at everybody all throughout the community as possible candidates for that if you're in the age category. Prior to that, spent the last 24 years dedicating my time to raising my family and my children. I'm looking forward to being a part of the library board. It's a great asset to the community. Literacy and fluency in our world as we go forward is extremely important, and the asset that the library can be for the community is something I'd like to be a part of.
Thank you, Glennis. Any questions from council? Mr. Blanford?
Ms. Worthington, what's one area you'd like to see the library expand on, or one area that you think we could improve on?
The greatest place where I get the programming and the community, that it can be a gathering place and a place where people come to share, learn, and understand more about everything, rather than just the idea of reading a book and having a book group, but that can be a central location for learning more about each other and being more centered together and intertwined as a community.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to meet you in the pre-interview, and thank you for serving.
Thank you, Glennis. Appreciate it. Thanks to all you folks for coming in. Moving on to item 4, Greater Cedar Valley Alliance update. And I believe I've got some names listed. Know the folks here. Is Bob up first? Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, and Mayor, thank you, Councilman, thank you for having us. Greater Cedar Valley Alliance, as you may recall, was formed as a unification of our economic development efforts for the region about 14 years ago. And as the chambers and a number of entities have continued to work in unison, we've had a lot of changes in this last year. A lot of good things have been accomplished in the formation of our organization. We're very proud of all that we've accomplished. We've got a lot more to accomplish. And we're very thankful that in this last year we've named Carrie Dara as our acting CEO, and our team of experienced folks are really connecting the community as never before. There was a period there of about 5 days where we had 3 events, and over 1,200 people were attending those 3 events during that short time frame. Tonight, we're just really coming to say thank you for your continued support and investment in our organization. And just like anything else, you expect to see returns for investments that we make with our dollars. And that's one of the things we've really brought to the forefront as we've assembled a number of, with Randy Pilkington and the University of Northern Iowa helping us with a number of focus groups, over 120 community leaders participating in those focus groups, giving feedback, perspective, and input to the future of our organization and how we can best support our local municipalities and six county area to the betterment of all. So we're really not here to take credit for all the things that we'll talk about. We're here to say, hey, we've been the unified voice for our area in places like Des Moines, places like wherever it might be around the country and around the world. And by being a unified one source voice, we're able to take those dollars that are put in, not only to be more efficient, but more effective, because we're able to then have greater impact, specifically in Des Moines as we represent our area and the great things that we have, and that's really our people. So thank you for having us. Thank you for your continued support. We hope to have a report next time to you, just saying, hey, here's a list of things that are happening, but I can tell you that as you kind of get under the hood and understand what's happening at the Greater Cedar Valley Alliance, you'll be pleased. And Carrie Dare is a big part of that, so we're really appreciative of her work.
Thanks, Bob.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. We appreciate working with you on a variety of programs and projects throughout this year, both external projects as well as existing businesses. So we appreciate that collaboration and look forward to collaborating with you on a lot more in the next 12 months. The update you have in front of you that we sent suggests that we have about 25 opportunities from up to May 15th for our fiscal year. But since then, we've had additional leads come our way and just recently had a project reactivated for the third time within the last 2 years. And a new lead with a significant capital investment that we just submitted a proposal on Cedar Falls' behalf this afternoon. In addition, last week, we had a prospect visit a Cedar Falls building in the industrial park. And so we're hopeful that they'll continue to have conversations with the city and with the property owner. We completed a Midwest prospecting initiative for the first half of 2018 since we last met. Approximately 964 companies were contacted with 8 leads or meetings and conference calls that occurred. Later this week, I'll be attending the Select USA trade show. It's hosted by the U.S. Department of Commerce in Washington, D.C. This is our second year attending, and this event attracts investors and international companies to the U.S. who are interested in establishing U.S. operations. We will be participating in partnership with our regional organization that we associate ourselves, the Cedar Valley Regional Partnership, and also with the Iowa Economic Development Authority. This winter, Cassie Grimsman completed and published the Industry Insights Report and just recently completed a companion piece called a Talent Report. Both of these reports represent what is on the minds of our existing businesses. We will be sharing our reports with you and our follow-up material that we will send through staff, and encourage you to reach out if you would like to discuss further. A micro report on both analyses have already been shared and reviewed with city staff. Our talent development initiative is a very important component of economic development. We just finished overhauling the Live the Valley website that will be promoted through digital and social media campaign the end of July. Live the Valley website promotes a quality life in Cedar Falls and the Cedar Valley on 3 aspects. It touches people who are moving here for the first time, people who are acquainting themselves to the area after being gone for a long time, or showing residents already here other forms of quality of life they may not have known existed. That is our retention piece. Later this summer, a complimentary print and digital version of Live the Valley, Life in the Cedar Valley magazine will be available. A big thank you to the city staff who helped us with content ideas to share with the Courier, who is publishing this magazine. In addition to other talent initiatives, we are working with our Economic Inclusion Committee on a toolkit. This is an ongoing process. It's another talent initiative to provide existing businesses the best practices for inclusion in the workplace. The toolkit helps employers think about how they can reach untapped workforce currently in the community. We are currently collaborating with UNI on a combined diversity and inclusion summit in October, and that will occur in Cedar Falls. In fact, your HR person here in the city is on that same committee, by the way. Stay tuned for more information on that. Several months ago, we signed on with Technology Association of Iowa, the Iowan Project. It's an initiative to encourage people with information technology skills and related talent who have ties already to Iowa. We want to get them to return to Iowa and take on some of these talent positions in the area of IT in the Cedar Valley and the state of Iowa. Much of the Cedar Falls Connect video content and promotion of the Cedar Falls companies and CFU's fiber optics, we've been able to repurpose that, and I've already shared it to this audience through electronic newsletters and social media campaigns that Technology Association of Iowa has conducted over the last several months. Last Thursday, we participated in the first social mixer for the Iowan Project in Colorado. The next event will be held in Chicago. It'll be in the fall, and we'll be taking some of our existing businesses who are currently or actively recruiting talent in that area. The Chicago and Denver markets were targeted because TAI found a cluster of Iowans living there. We are part of a small group of this founding initiative called the Iowan Project. The other founding members include Iowa Development Authority. Debbie Durham is very supportive of this, but we're also in it with a couple of our counterparts in Iowa, the Des Moines Partnership and West Des Moines, and of course us. The Alliance also is part of a conversation and planning to address some issues surrounding workforce transportation and child care issues in the Cedar Valley. These initiatives, again, another example of collaborative and require public and private participation in order to effectively address. And if we're able to effectively address it as a community, then that will lead to another pool of workforce for existing businesses who do need it. Why is talent recruitment and retention so important? 7 of the 8 external prospects I met with since December during our Midwest Marketing Initiative, I had stated the workforce availability was a hindrance to their expansion at their present location and wanted to know if we had the workforce here in Cedar Falls and the Cedar Valley. The recent talent survey I just mentioned, what that told us is that 62% of our existing businesses recruit talent from outside the Cedar Valley. 26% of the existing businesses find childcare and transportation employment as employment barriers, which I mentioned we're currently trying to address based on this information. And 48% of existing businesses express that workforce is a limiting factor to their growth in the Cedar Valley. But on the upside, 56% of existing businesses see their business growing in the future. So it becomes a challenge, but also an opportunity for us to rise above and solve that issue for existing businesses to continue to grow and support the economy. As you see us engage in more collaborative initiatives in the Cedar Valley around talent, you'll better understand why this is an area of focus for our economic growth. And to that end, and you've met Cassie Grimsman before, I won't ask her to stand this time, but we're going to have some internal changes effective July 1st. Cassie will be promoted from her current role as Business Services Coordinator to Director of Talent Solution effective July 1st. Cassie has done an outstanding job this last year, and we're excited to see where she will take us next with the talent solution initiatives that we undertake. And with that, I will turn it over to Carrie, unless you want to ask any questions or wait till the end.
We'll see. So
Okay,
far, so
thank
good.
you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Good evening, Mayor and Council and City staff. I'm Carrie Dara with the Alliance and Chamber, and as Bob mentioned earlier, we are going through a transition, and as a result of that, we did host focus groups in March and April with 120 people, business leaders, community leaders, people that really are passionate about the Cedar Valley participated. And with that focus group, those focus groups, we came away with 3 priorities, which were really priorities all along, but we've kind of repositioned them. I just wanted to share with you a high level, and Lisa touched on it, Bob touched on it. But out of those focus groups and those participants, our priorities are business recruitment and expansion, which has also always been part of our program of work. Business attraction, which Lisa leads beautifully. She's one of the 50 best economic developers in the country, named a couple of years ago, and we couldn't be more fortunate to have the expertise that we do from Lisa. And then, as Lisa mentioned, also talent recruitment and attraction. And so Lisa asked if she could steal my thunder and announce that Cassie had been named as our new talent development coordinator or director, and we couldn't be more thrilled because Cassie lives the life of the people that we want to reach. She is represents the exact kind of worker and employee that we want to make sure is attracted to the Cedar Valley, Cedar Falls, Waterloo, the entire Cedar Valley. So we couldn't be more thrilled that Cassie's sliding a little bit from her business retention expansion and expanding that role to take on the talent recruitment and retention. One of the other things that we learned from these focus groups is that we, as the Alliance and Chamber, our role is to be a collaborative partner, not necessarily an owner, and we couldn't agree more. We will look forward to establishing partnerships with many organizations throughout the Cedar Valley that we can provide exponential benefit towards by collaborating our efforts. We also understand, and we have already initiated, identifying and working with other communities to garner their best practices and procedures. So from the Alliance and Chamber standpoint, as Bob described, we combined our community and economic development functions. And so we've identified some other communities that are doing that. And Mankato, Minnesota is one that is a like size. They're a university town. They combined their efforts. They have a little more corporate presence in their community than we do. But in every other way, we are trying to garner from them some of their best practices, and they've been very open to sharing that information. And since then, they've shared a lot of interest in the Cedar Valley as well. Additionally, we're going to be traveling to Dubuque next week and meeting with their CEO of their Alliance and Chamber, Rick Dickinson, and he said, I'm an open book. I'll tell you everything I know. We're glad to help in any way we can. And then I've been meeting with folks in Des Moines on their talent recruitment and retention, and they are off the chart in what they do, but they too are very, very glad to share with us their best practices so that we can help Cassie with her job and in her role. And again, they're very willing to do that. So our commitment to the participants in those focus groups was that we would continue with a strategic plan. So next week, we'll be meeting with the executive committee. Both mayors have been invited. I'll be meeting with them ahead of time. And I would ask any of you, if you have thoughts and comments about how you would like your Alliance and Chamber to operate, if you'd share those observations with the mayor or with me, because we will be picking their brains about what you see in the future for us to be able to be a good partner for you. And we're interested in council feedback, especially councils, because we consider the Cedar Falls and Waterloo councils our two biggest partners. And so we really do want to know what it is that you would expect from us and what we can provide for you. And finally, I just couldn't tell you how proud I am about working with the team that we have. I've already told you about Lisa being one of the best economic developers in the country. I don't know if Jim made it. Yeah, Jim Schaefer's here. He was receiving an award at the Waterloo Council meeting, so he zipped over here to join us. He's the Director of Investor Relations. And then, of course, Cassie. And we have many, many others in the office, but we had these folks join us tonight. And as I mentioned at Good Morning Cedar Valley last week, we are here to serve the Cedar Valley, to help grow our economy. So anything we can do that you're observing that we can do better, we look to you for that guidance. And we are committed to doing that job for you. Thank you. Any questions, either of any of us here?
Council? Thank you.
And thank you.
Nice update, all of you. Thank you for being here. Moving on to our next topic is a review of the 2018 bond sale bids. Director Rodenbeck will be here and a brief introduction to our guests.
Thanks, Mayor. Mayor and Council, as you know, we've been working up to this date, getting ready to sell bonds to finance various projects on our CIP. So today was the actual day where we received those bids. So you'll see a copy of them at your desk. Through this whole process, we work with Public Financial Management. They're our financial advisors through this. So I'm just going to introduce John Burmeister, and he can walk through the bids and then answer any questions anybody has. And then, Mayor, then tonight at Council, we'll actually formally receive and file those bids. So here's John.
Welcome, John.
Thank you, Jennifer. Again, John Burmeister with PFM. It's always a pleasure to be here. As Jennifer did indicate, we did solicit from underwriters today the sale of the city's general obligation bonds. And as Jennifer mentioned, there's a tabulation of bids that should be along your desk. Proud to tell you that this is 3 pages long. We ended up getting 8 different bidders from underwriters located throughout the United States. On the left-hand side is the name of the bidder. You can see Fifth Third Securities out of Cincinnati, Ohio. They came in at the low. Piper Jaffray out of Minnesota, SunTrust out of Tennessee, and then you can see you're pulling from Colorado, Oklahoma. And then Robert W. Baird, they always form a very big consortium. You can see on the second page, they have a whole army of underwriters located throughout the United States trying to buy your bonds. And then last but not least, there's 4 additional underwriters on the back page there as well. You can see that we award these or recommend that we award these on what's called a true interest rate. That's similar to the APR in a car loan. So if you look at the Fifth Third, does everyone see the 2.56%? That was the true interest cost of this bond issue. And you can see Piper Jaffray came in at 2.599, so pretty tight bidding. And then Robert W. Baird is at 263, and then the high bid being a 2.67%. When we set this up with Jennifer and her team, we had built in the current rates plus 35 basis points worth of cushion because rates were kind of inching up, but they haven't really gone up much. They've been stabilizing. So we were at a 304 in our planning document, and I'm proud to say that we came in right around a 2.56%. We did receive a little bit of a premium. You can see the purchase price there on the upper right-hand corner, the $7,234,000. So we received more proceeds than what the city needed. And then in working with Jennifer's team, again, we were able to drop the par amount down. So tonight when you award the bonds, you'll want to award it at $5,940,000. So we were able to drop the bond proceeds, or the bond par amount, to give you the proceeds that you needed. And then that resulted in a 2.5797 true interest rate cost. And then last but not least, Moody's Investor Service, as you are aware, did reconfirm your AA1 rating. I think Jennifer has indicated, she put in the report in your packet. I encourage you to read that. It's kind of your report card. And it's really pleasing to read this. There's a lot of positive things going on with the community here in terms of your rating. AA1 being the second, the one notch away from a AAA. In fact, Jennifer and I got her interest peaked up. They had called us. They delayed your rating a couple days because they wanted to review whether or not the city could stack up with a AAA. And I'm pleased to tell you that you're headed in that direction. They didn't quite get you there yet. And looking around, the AAAs have 50% fund balance. If you look at that, they actually do have that. You're pretty close to that. You're trending in that direction. Low debt, high strong fund balances. In fact, if you read this report, it's really kind of your report card here, and this is the portion that the City Council and the city staff really controls. The city's financial profile will likely remain strong due to healthy reserves, ample revenue-raising flexibility, conservative budgeting practice. In fact, the city has closed the last 6 years with surpluses, telling Moody's that you're not only budgeting conservatively, but you're also controlling the budget as you manage your revenues and expenses. And obviously, the rating agencies liked that control and that conservatism built into your numbers. So with that, I'll open up to any questions that you may have. And if not, we recommend that you would award this to Fifth Third tonight at your council meeting.
Anything from council?
Just say that I was very pleased with the report. I think it's a testament to Jennifer and her team. This is exceptional.
Yep.
We have a few minutes if you want to brag about our city again. We're happy to hear you out and record it and play it over and over. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, yes. Item number 6, council, is there a motion to approve bills and payroll?
So moved. Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. This concludes the committee of the whole meeting. We'll now adjourn till the top of the hour for our regular city council meeting. Thank you.